Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please continue to pray for me by disliking this video. I'm gonna meet up with a girl that I met on Bumble here in Taiwan, and if it goes right, my first time successfully meeting somebody in another country. I've mused about stuff like this for a long time. One of the reasons I used to like to use dating websites before I travel doesn't really apply anymore. But one of the reasons I used to like to do that is that I was working at a technology company. We didn't have a whole lot of vacation time. I was lucky to go to another country and stay for like a week, at most a week and a half. And so if I used an online dating site for the country involved in the 1 or 2 weeks leading up to the trip, it psychologically made the trip seem a little bit longer, right? And I never had any success with it. I came really close to one girl in Amsterdam, but I guess she had second thoughts on it for whatever reason, and or she could have been really busy. After I got home, she continued to text me, if I remember correctly. But I have a number of funny a number of funny close calls in other countries. I was traveling in Poland in 2016, and I have a little bit of a sleepwalking habit sometimes. Well, not really sleepwalking, but I'll get up in the middle of the night and then go back to sleep, like a biphasic sleep schedule. And sometimes the memory of what I did in between is a little bit fuzzy. So I was staying in a hostel, and one night I got up and I went to a local corner store. This was back when stores used to open 24 hours a day. This was before COVID. And I had bought a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer. I went back to the hostel room and I drank it all. I went back to sleep. And the next morning, I wasn't sure if that situation was true or not. I thought it might have been a dream. In the dream, I had a good conversation with the girl across the counter, but that's not unusual for a dream, right? I got up and I wasn't sure if that was real or not until I saw all the empty beer bottles in the trash, and I decided I needed to go look for that girl. The rest of the trip, I kept going to that store. I never saw her again. And it wasn't until the next year did I figure it out. 2017, I went back to Warsaw, and as soon as I got off the bus, I made a beeline for that store, hoping to see her again. And sure enough, she's right there. And she remembered me. And the reason she remembered me was that I had gone into the store at 2 in the morning to buy a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer. She thought I used to have a drinking problem, and I had switched to non-alcoholic beer, and now I was just practicing my old habit. And that's what she told all of her friends and family for the course of a year. And that was good. It was a nice pickup line. Unfortunately, a few moments into the conversation, we were talking about I was competing in a computer Olympiad conference that year, and we were talking about me getting ready for the conference, and she mentioned what her husband did for a living. As soon as she said the word husband, it was really deflating. But you know what? It was deflating for 2 seconds, and then I realized that it had been a good motivation over the last year, and now I got to see her and I got to practice talking to her again. But it was kind of deflating. I hope she didn't see the deflationary feeling in my eyes. And then after I settled down during that trip, I got to meet the owner of the hostel and their daughter. I had a really good conversation, and I showed her how to view Jupiter and Saturn in the night sky. And we recently rekindled, actually. I We had some discussions over the summer about me potentially taking another trip. I don't think they're doing the hostel anymore, though. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard to maintain without actually seeing her. But I hope to see her again at some point. All right. I like it when I repeat things the same way. So last time, the reason I keep asking for dislikes is that the last time I went on a first date and I kept asking for dislikes and it went really well. And I hate to change the flow of that. When something goes right, I try to repeat it. So, for example, in 2017, I went to view a solar eclipse in Salem, Oregon, and I made sure to go to a large field to view it. And during the trip, on the way there, I stopped at a Five Guys for lunch. And so I insisted on looking for a Five Guys when I went to Kerrville this year, because the last 7 years have not been too bad for me, right? I landed a number of dream jobs. As bad as my dating situation was, it could have been a lot worse during those 7 years, right? I did have three good relationships during that time, and all the rest, right? I started the Peter Dislike Show. I started my Bismuth art career, and those things, while not 100% ideal, right? No, nothing is really 100%. There's a lot of room below it that it could have been worse, right? There's a lot of room above it too, but there was a lot of room below it, and I didn't want to risk that, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.